And everyone, welcome back to that show that we do. It's called XD, which is where we talk about things that make us smile. Today we're talking about something that, if it didn't make it obvious, today we're just talking about physical media, all the formats upon which we store the movies, the music, the novels, the stories that move us and make us feel such happy nerd feelings. But today we have a special guest. Special guest, introduce yourself to the good people of the show.
Oh, hello, good people of the show. My name is Will Bachinski. I don't know if anybody knows my last name. I don't think I ever put it out there in my YouTube videos. But
Oh,
I used to
we're
do
breaking new ground.
yeah, new ground, hot scoops, exclusives here. I used to do a decent amount of YouTube stuff under the name Nerd Ventures, which is probably where I met Desmond through the Facebook group.
Yes.
I don't really
Yes.
remember exactly.
Yeah,
but through various Facebook groups, mostly related to comic book stuff,
Yes.
and have since branched out into other, types of collecting and everything. And I haven't done any YouTube content in a while, but
I was checking your channel. It's been like a year. Yeah.
Been dead for a minute.
Been dead.
But I do
I have
enjoy
brought you back.
podcasting and stuff. So yes, thank you for
No problem.
dragging my corpse out into the public way. Nice to see everybody again.
Yes, totally. Good to see you too, man. I was actually, I remember back when I was first getting into Breath of the Wild, I'd throw on your videos and I just, run around Hasten a Village, it was good
That's
times.
probably good because I have a tendency to ramble and go on for a while. So if you just have something else to do,
it's very
it really
soothing.
Keeps it, yeah.
It's very soothing.
Okay.
Well,
that's funny because Breath of the Wild was also a podcast game for me. I would listen to a bunch of comedy podcasts and stuff and just do hours of Breath of the Wild. It was really nice.
Oh, God. Oh, and you know what, X? You have a Switch now, so you need Breath of the Wild.
I don't really love the structure of Zelda, personally.
I don't care. You should play it.
Okay, I get it. Everybody's recommending
also, Breath of the Wild is very different from past Zeldas. It is. If you don't like Zelda's structure because I agree. Like in the recent Zeldas leading up to Breath of the Wild, they were getting to me very formulaic, and I was like, I'm kind of done collecting 3 things and then collecting 4 more things and then going to this temple, whatever. And it's really not like that. It really is more of a I don't know, a very intuitive open world design. It's really cool if you have a chance.
It's so beautiful.
That sounds so nice.
One of my favorite things to do, actually one of my wife's favorite things to do, is to just feed the horses. Like, she doesn't want me to tame them. She just has me to get a big pile of carrots and just run over to wild horses and have them eat the carrots.
Yeah, I can just imagine her saying, Des, have you fed the horses recently? Des, you need to feed the horses.
Yeah, she literally says that. It's so good.
If you feed the doggos, they'll lead you to treasure. So
yes,
there's a lot of there's a lot of rewards for feeding things in that game. It's like a weird animal.
Good.
It's such a chill game, such a good vibe. Game.
The music's amazing too. It's really they do it's like piano incidental stuff, but it comes up in these moments where you don't expect it, and you'll just be cresting a ridge, and all of a sudden you're this is the best music ever, and it's so beautiful. It's so cool. It really feels like a Studio Ghibli movie.
Oh, actually, yes. If you haven't watched Studio Ghibli, holy crap. Well, anyway, back to the thing we're actually talking about. Welcome to the first tangent. Oh my God, that was
it's gonna be
the whole goddamn point of the show is just to do exactly what just happened.
Just tangents. So I recently got a Blu-ray player. One of those brand new fangled 4K Blu-ray players. Fancy. Well, but it was while we were watching stuff with the Blu-ray player that I started thinking about this thing. So here's my thesis statement for this whole conversation. Digital media and physical media are not just 2 different storages. They're 2 fundamentally different experiences. So much so that I think that seeking out physical media is driven by an entirely different impulse than seeking out digital media. And I kind of wanted to go into the different reasons why maybe we personally, because I know that we all have rather sizable collections of physical media, why, despite the fact that on paper, digital might be more efficient, I guess, there is still this drive for this quote unquote inferior format, especially if you're talking about compact cassettes versus compact discs, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Bring me in, guys. What are your thoughts on this whole thing?
I have so many DVDs. I love DVDs so much. I got I was looking through our like family movie cabinet. It's got all of like the boxes, like the 4D remotes, and you just like all the boxes. We had this, it's like one of those double DVD Ziploc sort of like.
Yes, I remember those.
For all the DVDs, it's got like 100 pages, and they're all double-sided. And I used
to have those in my car for my CD switcher.
I still have
one. Like up above.
So I have one of those, and it's just chock full of DVDs because I just would get like at Target they have like the $5 DVD racks.
Yeah.
And I just find like the cheapest one that I'm like, that's the one I want. But in addition to that, I just like stole all of the DVDs from our home DVD case. I was like, all right, nobody watches these anymore. They're all mine now. I actually watch them. I'm taking all of these bitches. They're mine. and I've just like been slowly building up my collection ever since, like asking for specific movies on like holidays as a gift. I'm like, can I have Little Shop of Horrors? I need Little Shop of Horrors. I need it. Because the DVD is just so lovely. You know that it's going to be exactly the same every time, and you're never going to have to worry about the Wi-Fi cutting out. You're never going to have to worry about you bring it with you and it's physically tangible, and so it's heavy and it's also delicate, and you have to be careful with it. And if your computer doesn't have like a DVD drive, you have to have like one of these fucking plug-in disc, digesters.
Yeah.
And so it's obviously, as you said, it is inferior technologically, but it's also like, there is stability.
Yes,
there's definite stability. You don't have to worry about your login info. You don't have to worry about getting hacked while you're accessing it on an unprotected Wi-Fi or something like that, And it's nostalgic. You get to hear the disc running in the drive, and you're like, it's from my childhood. I love that sound.
Yeah.
Is your disc drive that loud? You might want to get that examined.
No, it's just it's like a little hum. It's just a little.
This is beautiful.
Although they could just be listening to death metal, so
that's true.
There you go.
Never know.
No, so I think that what you said, like the sound of like the thing operating, that's
delicious.
why I like cassette tape so much. Let me just throw it out there.
Hearing them rewind is
Built
fucking
for Speed
cathartic.
by Stray Cats, great album. But the sound of like you open it up, and then you take it out of the thing, and then you close the thing back up.
Yeah.
Like, that's such a nice sound,
it has a nice tactility to it.
Tactility.
Yeah, the structure of cassette tapes are like they defy physics. Like, how does that shape make sense? It's like two rectangles,
it's two rectangles containing it's two circles contained inside of two rectangles.
Yeah, it's like an L shape within a line within
it's a round peg
curve.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I actually have I have a 4-track recorder downstairs that I ordered in the mail. I've just been getting into cassettes. I just got back into cassettes and like looping tapes and doing all kinds of weird experimental stuff. I don't know. Cool. It's like it's that kind of thing where like I'm not much of a musician, but like when you sit in front of it, and this is sort of my thesis statement on physical media in general, is that when you sit in front of a computer, right, and you open up Ableton Live or whatever the fuck you're going to record with, you can make any sound you want in the universe, right? Like there's no sound that you cannot make, and at that point you're like, but what sound do I make? What does it? Like where do you go from that unlimited potential?
Yeah, totally.
Whereas like having a 4-track recorder or like a cassette or something that's like very limiting, it sort of like brings out this beauty of your ability to like solve problems within spaces and sort of be like, okay, here's this limitation, and you only have this much stuff, and you can only make record to it what noises you can make in real life, and like go do your thing. And to me, like I so vastly prefer that. Like I was talking to my friend the other day who does like accessibility software design, and he was saying that like his girlfriend is like an artist, right? He was like breaking down the difference between them, and I had never thought about it like this, but I realized that I am like way more in the dev side of it. He was like, if you give her a blank canvas, she will fill it up, right? That is like her thing, is like she has that vision in her, and the blank canvas can be filled. But if you give him a blank canvas, or me, I have no idea what the hell to do with it. Like I would just sit there and I would never do anything. But if you gave me a blank canvas and you said like, here's 4 colors, like, or here's this many lines you can do, then that like brings out something in me. I'm like, oh, okay, like let's solve this problem. So I feel like, to me, like physical media kind of gets to that like itch where it's like it has that thing where it's like it's not as convenient, it's not as free form, it's not as open-ended, but it gives you this kind of ability to be like, how do I work within the parameters to get something I like out of this, and not just the sort of like infinite scrolling through like the Netflix wall of just like there's so much potential. You could watch anything, but like, will you? That sort of is my like, I don't know, dichotomy of the physical and digital.
But it's also really cool, like with when you have those limitations, you challenge yourself to push beyond those limitations and to be impressed with yourself and to make something that impresses other people, which is really cool. Like, what can you make with 4 100%. Colors? Can you make more colors than that? You feel limited by the 4 colors, but are you really limited? What can you do with that?
Yeah, there's a thing that I think there's a component to that, right? Where I think that I used to think of this as like a negative thing. And in all fairness, like I said, the thing that drives you to digital versus physical, those are different impulses. So we were watching Pacific Rim, but like on Blu-ray the other night.
Pacific Rim.
So you know what? It gets better.
Second of appreciation for Pacific
Rim. Many seconds of appreciation. And also, I'm going to be that guy.
Once.
What?
I'll be that guy. I'll say the second one was also really good.
You did say that before, yes. You have said that.
A lot of people didn't like it, but I actually really, really enjoyed it.
Was Del Toro involved in it at all? Because he didn't direct it.
I really don't think he was. I think one of the guys who wrote the Daredevil show was involved in that.
Oh, interesting.
That's fun.
The only returning characters I remember being in it were the 2 scientists and Mako. But I really thought that Mako and Jake, who was Stacker Pentecost's like biological son, played by John Boyega, they had good brother-sister chemistry. They were really good. They're so cute. Anyway, no, but like the thing is like when you're watching one disc, you know, you're just watching that one disc, and that feeling of isolation, it frees you of choice, right? Like you are, it's just you, it's just the movie. And you can properly appreciate it. Because one of the things that I have, the biggest thing that problem I have with especially reading stuff on like a Kindle or something, is that at any moment I could be doing something else. You know, like I press a couple buttons, I swipe a little bit, and I'm watching YouTube, or like I'm playing Stardew Valley because I have Stardew Valley on my phone, right? It's so cute, but like there is something really nice because like the thing is that when you have all of those options for like media to consume, eventually they all blur together. But when you're limited to like just like the however many CDs you have, like I've listened to Channel Orange like 1,000,000 times because I have it on CD and I just left it in my car and I would just play it every time I was going somewhere.
I did the same thing with that one Kendrick Lamar album, Good Kid, Mad City, that you gave me. You gave me the disc, and I did the same thing with what's it called? Making Mirrors by Gautier.
Yes, that's a good one.
Like those 2 albums, I will just play on repeat. That is a really good point. Like when you are.
Mine was a Sonic Youth's sister. I had that CD in my car forever, and like on my iPad, like on my iPod connector at some point, like broke the aux cord or whatever it wasn't working, and I swear I knew like the track list forward and backwards, and I would just listen to it like nonstop, and like not even necessarily by choice, but it just became like, I don't know, a ritual for driving.
No, I get it. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think, X, were you saying something?
Yeah, like it's beautiful, that construct of I have 4 discs here and like I'm just going to leave one of them in the car and then I just listen to it every time. Like maybe I don't have enough time to plug in my phone and pick a song right now. So I'm just going to hit like instead of aux, I'm going to go to disc. I'm just going to hit that and get where I'm going. And then all of a sudden you're grooving to something that you haven't heard in a hot second. And it feels so much more like something else. Like if it's stuck in your car for a while, it feels like it's car music. And every time you hear that song outside of that context, you're like, oh my God, it feels like the album. Because every time I listen to it, I listen to the whole album. It's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Cat. I think, I see Cat.
Cat. You can come up and say hi. He's pretty floofy, pretty big boy.
He looks floofy.
We're thick kings in this household.
Oh, that's a big cat.
Thick kings only. Oh my God.
Yeah, his name's Professor Pancakes.
Professor. Oh, I remember Professor Pancakes from some of your older videos.
Yeah, he's been around for a hot minute now, right, bud?
Oh man,
he's kind of camera shy today. Doesn't want to hang out.
Oh god,
I think it's because it's snowing and he has some like.
It's snowing by me too. Yeah,
I'm getting some good snowfalls today.
It's like 90 degrees outside where I live.
Ew, gross.
I stood outside for 20 minutes with my roommate to get a COVID rapid test just for kicks, just to make sure that we didn't have COVID, and we don't have COVID. But like,
congratulations.
we do this thing with our roommates where we all try to get tested at the same time sometimes because then
I thought you were gonna say where one of us gets COVID and then we all try to see who gets it afterwards.
No.
The ultimate party game.
the COVID leader.
Wow, that's insane. Yeah.
The new version of like that card kissing game.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Blow or whatever.
Dude,
No. We all
crazy this week.
Like, we all try to go together because then that significantly decreases the the falsification of a rapid test. You know how sometimes you get a false negative. So if all four of us are negative, then that's significantly decreased. Anyways, yeah. So standing outside for 20 minutes waiting to get my nose plucked, and I left like schwitzing like I was in a goddamn steam room.
Well, I mean, it's Florida. It is a steam room.
Fucking moist.
That's why I left. I remember our brother.
That's why I
left South Carolina too.
Yeah.
Good.
I got all these people up here like, man, I want to move down south, and I'm like, why?
No,
doubt it.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
You want to visit.
I'm tired of the
you want to visit down south. You
you
don't want to
visit.
live here.
Stay there for like a week and then come back where it's cold and you wake up and you're not sweating.
That's why snowbirds exist.
So snowbirds. Hey, snowbirds got it down.
Snowbirds fucking get it, bro.
They do. They do. Especially our neighbors. They're snowbirds. They're wonderful people and they're never there. Best of both worlds.
Yep.
By our neighbors, I mean our parents' neighbors back home.
Yeah, my actual neighbors. My neighbors. They're practically never there. They're so chill. And they have a little dachshund. He's adorable.
Oh, I was gonna say, we got a new fish last night.
A new fish?
He is a Siamese algae eater. His name is Sarlacc.
What?
So that's good.
What the fuck? Every day is something new with you, dude.
Well, that's what happens when your wife gets into aquariums. You just get fish, and then you get snails, then you get more fish.
Y'all hyperfixate in a beautiful way.
It's so
wonderful.
great. Well, actually, speaking of hyperfixating, that's one of the things that I really think digital media kind of engenders, right?
Yes.
It's great. Well, how many people have had like that one worn out paperback that they've read a billion times, right? How many people? I really like Day Tripper. This is a really good comic. But I like it in paperback specifically because it's written like the main character is a guy who writes on a typewriter, and it has this sort of paperback kind of like, hard-boiled writer feel when you've got the thing, right? And I think that, we kind of look down on like the aesthetic of physical media sometimes, but that is part of it, right? I mean, like the reason why I own where I'm trying to find, well, hang on, where is it? I can't find it. I can't find it. I'm lost and I'm afraid. Oh, like okay. I own this album in digital. We're here with you. But like this is Lore by Elder. But the reason why I have it on vinyl is because it's a lovely album, and I get to like interact with it in like so many.
You get to look at the album art and stuff and the sleeves.
Yeah, it's great. No, not to mention
mine.
Yeah.
On the wall behind me. Some of them you can kind of see.
I can see.
I love those types of shelves. Yeah.
IKEA, baby.
IKEA.
Like
they do it all.
Every other post in our Facebook group is like,
yeah, there's a significant amount of IKEA posting.
IKEA posting. We should change it from the Omnibus Collectors group to comic book IKEA posting. Group.
Somebody hire me to be like a radio podcast audio file advertising for IKEA. And this season, you too can own the Lack floating bookshelf.
I know. It's so.
I can't I feel so bad when I go to IKEA. I feel like I sound like a crazy person because I just walk through the aisles laughing to myself because I'm doing all of the words of things in like the Swedish chef voice. Herga, ferga, lurga, and like in my mind I'm just doing that the whole time, and I'm like, this is so dumb. Like it's probably offensive to Swedish people or whatever, but I'm just walking around being like, oh, an Engelfarber. Like I don't really want.
We do that in our mom does that.
And I'm just like, oh, like I'm like nobody is like approaching me. I'm by myself, just like buying weird shelving, just like it's very strange, but it's I don't know. I just can't control my like giddiness at the names in that place. It's so
my
funny.
thing is like that's how my wife and I are, but like because we've been watching Clone Wars, so we've been exposed to a lot of Star Wars names. Anytime we see someone with a particular Star Wars name who we know is never going to come up again, we're like, look, it's him. It's like there's this one guy, his name was Lux Bonteri, and I'm like, Jess, it's Lux Bonteri. Holy crap, I didn't know he was in this episode. Oh my god, it's so amazing.
Do you guys know the movie 500 Days of Summer?
Yes.
Good okay, movie. So you know when they go to IKEA and they're like pretending to be a couple and they sit down in front of the TV
about that.
and the girl Summer, she's like, honey, our TV doesn't work. And they go into the kitchen section, they're like, our sink doesn't work either. I do remember. Oh, thank goodness we have another sink. And I just, whenever I go to IKEA, I do that in my head now.
Okay, so
our TV doesn't. We need to get this fixed.
I legitimately mixed up 50 First Dates with 500 Days of Summer just now. I was so confused.
It's just Drew Barrymore like recurringly walking into IKEA and being like, none of the sinks work, like a true panic. It's like, no, you just lost your memory. It's like, how do houses work?
And Tom Hanks comes in and is like, at least you lose your memory every day. I have to wake up every fucking day and feel this shit.
Wait, did you just
Groundhog Day?
Tom Hanks?
I didn't confuse it. I was referencing Groundhog Day because it's February.
Oh, I think that's Bill Murray, though.
Yeah, that was Bill Murray.
I always do that. That's my bad.
So cross over. So Tom Hanks is starring as Bill
and
Murray
in. I always do that. I'm
sorry.
First
Dates.
Tom Hanks and Bill Murray?
No, it's because they were always in the same types of movies growing up. Like Woody was Tom Hanks. Bill Murray was the dad in Osmosis Jones. Bill Murray was in Ghostbusters.
I feel like I would confuse Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd more than Tom. I feel like Tom Hanks is like to me like a different. Maybe I don't know generationally, but there's like a little.
They look different enough, and I don't know why. I think it's also because they were just two of the most like famous people.
Yeah, two of them old white dudes.
Yeah.
They all look the same eventually.
They do. They really do.
And by the way, I gotta say, Bill Murray's cameo in Zombieland was just perfect.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
So good.
He's one of my favorite parts of Wes Anderson movies. Like he always shows up in Wes Anderson movies in so many fun ways. I love seeing him.
Oh God, he really does.
I don't know that I've actually seen.
I wish.
Wow.
So
anyway, physical media.
Physical media. Yeah.
I think I have a
how you doing?
Speaking on what you were saying before about graphic novels, I think it's really cool how books, especially used books, kind of transcend generations oftentimes. People write in the margins, people highlight shit, people write in pen, they dog-ear the pages get crushed, and then you can see like the scores like over time. The spines can break in certain spots because of like the overuse.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta stretch it.
Oh yeah, just scratch it out.
Okay, so this is a
long-term comic book argument.
So when you get this is the thickest comic book I own. This is Darth Vader Volume 2.
Only thick boys in this house.
Yes. So if you get a thicker book like this, it's sewn binding. So what you want to do is you want to open it up. You want to stretch out the binding.
Yeah.
You want to stretch out the binding. That's okay. So I think most of the posts. Okay, let me sum up the comic book. Where is my package? Should I be concerned about this? About my book binding? And what shelf is best? Those 3 posts, and then somebody will like intentionally try to start drama and get banned instantly. But that's it.
And then somebody will be also like, we used to talk about comics here. Now we're going to talk about shelving. And it's like, oh yeah, hey, it's a big group at this point. It's grown beyond the small clique that it was. So
yes, which I don't even know if I was there for like the small clique days because I joined at the end of 2017.
I was there in the beginning, like the 2015s. I remember.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you were there. You're
back
an OG.
in the day. On Riley's old channel. Yeah.
You want to feel old? I was 15.
I was about to say I wasn't even born.
How old was I in 2015?
I was -8 years old. I was born at the tender age of 0.
That does trip me out when because I work at Trader Joe's and I turned 30 this last year, and then there'll be people that yeah, I know. There are people that are like, oh, like I don't even remember 9/11. I'm like, what? Like that was like a defining moment of my childhood.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they're like, I was born in 2002. I'm like, oh God.
There was this one time I was working at like this educational facility in 2014, and they asked this kid, kid, like he was, I assume the dude's like 8 years old or something, kind of like tall for an 8-year-old. They ask him when he's born. He goes, 2006. I'm like, wait a second, what?
People are born.
That was 2 years ago.
What?
Crazy.
No, but everybody was born in the 90s. That's impossible.
Oh my God, I actually saw. I'm not on TikTok, but I saw a TikTok because my friends, we always send each other TikToks.
Who actually is on TikTok? That's a good
question. A lot of people I know, but I'm not.
Get damn Zoomer.
I get my data harvested the old-fashioned way through Amazon, not through an app I voluntarily download. But anyway,
true.
I got sent this TikTok that was like, sing along. It was one of those where it's like sing along if you know this song, and it's like 10 songs, and it was like Lady Gaga, Bad Romance, Toxic by Britney Spears, something by Avril Lavigne, something by Maroon 5, and it was like the classics, right? Things everybody should fucking know. And the girl in the video was like, I don't know any of these songs. And I was like, what the fuck do you mean you don't know these songs? What the fuck? I can't be that old. I'm the youngest person I know. Out of all the people that I ever meet, I'm the youngest person I know. I'm 21 years old.
That's gonna stop.
Baby.
That's gonna stop.
That's gonna stop soon.
Fucking what?
Then you're gonna.
I literally called myself a teenager last night. I was like, I'm just a teenager, and then my roommate and I both said 21 at the same time. I was like, oh my God.
Okay,
Anyways, physical media.
But I think, well, this is part of it too. Like, I don't even know that it's necessarily so
many people didn't grow up with physical media.
Yeah.
And they're going back to it because they want to know what other people are talking about.
This is an experience that my wife and I experienced when we started and then gave up on Bleach almost in the same week. So Bleach, the anime, which you should never watch.
I was gonna make a real naughty joke, but
that's another meme. Okay, well we'll save that for after. It's too spicy for you. Too
spicy for you too.
Oh, you'll love it. So anyway. So like Bleach, I didn't really like Bleach, but I liked it imagining that this would have been the show that I would have been really into if I were like a 14-year-old otaku in high school, right? Because it hits all the right notes. Everyone is like a student and their designs are simple enough to cosplay, but cool enough that you want to cosplay them, right? And so I don't know if this is a word, but I'm going to say it's retroactive nostalgia, right?
Ooh,
so like there's so for me, like especially if we're talking about older used media, or like there is this sort of like imagining who else had this and like what were they feeling when they were interacting with this. Like there's a real physical connection to, like, there's something special about finding an album that moves you and then imagining who else had that album. Like I really like this is a really cool, I mean, you guys all know this one. This is Layla by Derek and the Dominoes, one of my favorite albums. But this is like an import from 1972. And you got to imagine, like, you're just wondering, like, who else had this? What is the story of this album? How did it get into this country? How did
it get on your shelf?
How did it get on my shelf? How many other people had this album before I had it? Like, I think that, like, and this is also sort of a funny joke that we, like I think once or twice every few months someone posts this in the Facebook group, is like I'm convinced that reading books and owning books are two distinctive hobbies. But
very
really,
much agree with that.
But really, and
I feel like watched.
And I've seen your room.
Somebody's looking too hard at me right now.
But I think the thing is too is like there really is this just inherent pleasure in manipulating physical objects. Like there is just like something special about about like sitting with a book in your lap, or like getting up and taking the CD out of the stereo and putting it back in,
purchasing a book, going to a store and saying I want this.
I think like my relationship with physical media is interesting because I think when I first started like being more into physical collecting, I think what I was telling myself that it was more about the like quality of the thing, like this idea that like, oh, I'm going to buy oversized books because the pages are bigger and nicer. Or like, I'm going to buy vinyls because vinyls, that's like the one sin. You never say vinyls, right? I'm going to buy vinyl because like it's supposed to be a higher quality, or like I'm going to buy Blu-ray because you don't get streaming artifacts, you know, all of these different things. But I found that over the years that is not necessarily the case for me. It's way more about the ritual of the item than it is about the quality of it. So like I feel like I now, because over the years I've purged, and so many times, like you know, the records I have on my wall back there are ones that like I've sold off like various record collections in the past, and then I'll come back to it, and every time I sell it off, it's with this feeling of like, oh, you know, I could go on Spotify and listen to this, but then it's like, but I don't, you know, it's like, it always reminds me of like exercise. Cause I'm so bad about exercising, but it's this feeling of like, whenever I go to think about exercising, I'm like, what's the most efficient exercise I could be doing to maximize my time? But then if I listen to a podcast with people who are actual fitness buffs, and they're like, do what will get you to do it. Like, it doesn't matter if you are doing the best version of it. It's like, what is the thing that you enjoy that will make you do it? Yeah. And it's that kind of feeling to me with physical media, where it's like, there is this sort of idealized version to me where it's like, well, I'll just use Spotify and I'll be able to stream 10 albums a day, but that doesn't happen. But like, what does get me to listen to music is putting a record on a turntable and spinning it, and, you know, reading a book while I'm doing it, or whatever it is. And it has that sort of like ritual side to it that I really appreciate to it. And then I think, on the other hand, though, I don't want to totally slam digital stuff, because
no, of course not.
There is sort of this thing, like I was saying before, like Spotify represents potential to me more than albums. You know, it's like more than a vinyl, that is. Because like last week, I went to a record store. I love going to record stores, love digging at record stores, love going to the used bookstores. Like, you know, in pandemic times, it's a little weird, but it is what it is. And so I spent $120 on 4 albums, right? That's like Spotify for a year. Right? Or I mean, probably maybe more than that. I don't even know.
Yeah, like 2 years. If you take advantage of some promotion,
or whatever, if you have certain promotion, right? So like, and those, you know, I mean, some of them were triple LPs. There was like a double LP. Like, it's not like I'm not saying it to say like, oh, I got ripped off because I only got 4 things. Like, I was happy that I got those 4 things and I took them home and I was excited about it. But like, that's a whole entire year of music that I listened to. Like, you can listen to in an afternoon, you know, with 4 records or whatever. And for somebody who doesn't have like, this is going to sound elitist, and I don't mean it to be, but like, I have a very defined taste, and I know what I like. Like, I know what I want, and I search for it, and I care about it, and I bring it back, and that's cool. But for somebody who doesn't, who's just like, oh, I'm kind of like interested in lots of music, or like, I kind of just want to get into movies. Like, Netflix and Spotify represent something that you did not have when we were kids. I know for sure you and me does. Like, you know, growing up pre-internet age, it's like I mean, not pre-internet age, but I remember kind of like transitioning from like, I don't have a smartphone, being like pre-internet being in your pocket and available, of course. You know? And like that kind of thing of like, you would see something on a channel at some point and you'd be like, what fucking movie was that? Like, I have no idea. And then years later, you'll be like, oh shit, that was this person. And you had no idea. But like, and I feel like Netflix kind of represents that to maybe somebody who's a little bit younger than me, or somebody who doesn't like have as much developed kind of just information about which artists and which directors and which whatever they like. It's just sort of that thing where it's like, you get recommended things, you put them on, you find stuff that's cool. Maybe you transition to physical media at some point when you know, like, hey, I like watching this movie. You know, I like watching whatever, The Office, every 5 times a year, whatever the fuck. And it's like, and now they've taken it off Netflix, and you know, it's like, oh, now I need to get that thing. It's like you were saying before, X, that feeling of like, it might not be there eventually. You know, it's like, it's good for discovery, but it lacks a certain, you know, level of permanence.
And here's the thing too, right, that I think people sort of leave out whenever we're talking about physical media, and we're gonna have to hang up and start the meeting back up again.
I see that. 5 minutes and 11 seconds.
Zoom.
Zoom. Oh yeah, Zoom. It's either pay $15 a month or do this. And frankly, I'm like, do this. I don't know. It's for a thing that we do like twice or 3 times a month. I'm not gonna no.
I'm not gonna pay $15 a month.
Yeah. So anyway, so like, I think physical media is more intuitive than digital media sometimes. You know what I mean? Because like, the thing about digital media is it's really intuitive for us, people who either in X's case have grown up using the internet, or people in our case who were introduced to it at a very young age and got used to it really quickly. But like, you do have to have some sort of savvy when it comes to like navigating software and clicking things and navigating menus. And it sort of adds to this illusion of like it's not actually really like there. Whereas if you wanted to go and read like The Witcher, you could walk into Walmart, spend $8, and you've got the book right there. You know what I mean?
And
like
but that is
that,
also
I think,
kind of different from vinyl and DVD and stuff. Like if I like to get into record collecting, you have to sort of like know a little bit about like what kind of turntable you want and how it all works together. And I always think about that like in the sense of like, imagine if the power goes out in the future, right? At some point, we're in some post-apocalypse. Books will be around or whatever, but like I'll just have hundreds of little shiny discs that like future generations will be like, what the fuck was this? Like all these like movies, and it's like
these
could you
plates?
imagine these like what do these do? It's like if you had to right now, if the technology for like DVDs and Blu-rays disappeared again, right? And I just had a bunch of Blu-rays, and they were like, okay, to watch Blu-rays again, you have to reinvent Blu-ray technology. I'd be like, never happening, not ever gonna happen in a million years. But if somebody was like, oh, to read a book again, you need to figure out how to like transcribe things to paper, I'd be like, oh, you know, I mean, probably not gonna happen, but I could see it in my lifetime. I could learn how to build a press. I could make books again. And it's so funny to me that there's like certain levels of physical media where it's like, it's become so hyper specific as to how you reproduce that thing that like, and I think about this a lot with video games. It's like, like collecting Super Nintendo games or Nintendo games or whatever. Like a lot of those things aren't really archived in official ways. And they're on such outdated, antiquated machines that like, to some extent, like weren't meant to last this long. Like batteries die, circuits, break, capacitors, whatever. Like these things have like a shelf life to them that I think like digitizing and archiving can be, helpful. It's like if something's only ever on vinyl, wouldn't it be nice to get it on into a digital archive somewhere, just as somebody has it? Because there's this feeling that like even though physical media feels more permanent, it actually like in my mind, it like sort of hyper specifies itself down to a place where some of it just can't be.
That is a good point,
anymore,
though.
Yeah,
that is a really good point. Yeah, I think
or like films or whatever. Like sometimes films, like there's lost films from the 20s and the 30s. Like those shit that just burned up. So nobody's ever gonna see that.
Yeah,
because there was not a way. There was not a way to digitize it. So like there's just
rather
stuff from 100 years ago
infamously,
that like does not exist.
Yeah,
like the BBC never kept any of their old Doctor Who episodes.
Oh yeah, that's why all those.
Well, and so like they had to rely on like audio recordings people had done on reel-to-reel tapes and the cassette recordings and stuff. Because it never occurred. Because like the thing is too about physical media, especially if we're talking about like physical, if we're talking about like audio and video, those didn't exist like even 100 years ago. Like those, like people, you could record things, but replicatable
home consumption, home media was not a thing. Like it was only done by professionals.
like books were a thing, have been a thing for basically ever, right?
Yeah.
But like you had to learn how to play the song if you wanted to hear it in your house, right? And you had to go buy a guitar or something.
Same thing with like, you had to recreate like sheet music and play it in your house, like on the piano or something, and learn how to play the piano if you wanted that music in your life. Like in terms of like, Mozart era of like music recreation, like going then, to a live production of the show or something. Like, it's not widely accessible for a really long time.
No, I'm gonna hang this up so we can join back up again. Hang on. Okay, 1 second.
Sometimes I think about if Mel Brooks were still alive, what the fuck he would do with all of this.
Wait, is he still alive?
What would Mel Brooks what would Mel Brooks do?
I'm pretty sure he's dead.
I mean, if he's not dead, then he's clearly not making
No, he's still alive. Hang on.
What I mean is, if he were still making
Mel Brooks is still alive, you monsters.
How old is he?
He's 94.
That's so long.
Oh, Jesus.
Des.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know that he was alive because I saw a COVID-19 social distancing PSA starring Max Brooks, author of World War Z, saying, He's like, hey, I'm healthy, but this guy is really old, so he needs me to stay home.
Aww.
And I'm like, that's adorable. That's adorable. Oh my God. So great.
I don't know. Mel Brooks is tough for me. Like I mean, not to go on another tangent. I like his stuff, but like I feel like that the comedy of that time was so deeply rooted in not being racist, but in race. And I feel like some of that stuff just like hasn't translated for me. Like I mean, and that's even to say like, going back even like 10 or 15 years ago, like so much of that stuff, like Like the ultimate punchline was like, oh no, what if you're gay? Or like the ultimate punchline is like, oh no, what if you like this person's a different race? Or like, and those things I feel like, I don't know if it's just like the rapid changing, cultural zeitgeist that we're in or whatever, but a lot of that stuff feels dated to me. Like when I go back to it.
Oh,
now.
for sure.
Like, it doesn't have like a
I think I know. I know what the problem is for me. It's that it's not someone in that group saying, this is a weird thing about being like this, because that's illuminating and funny. It's somebody outside of it saying, haha. Like the whole joke is, hey, this exists. Like I like Friends a lot, but the problem that I have with Friends is that anytime they make a joke about a gay person, the joke is that the person's gay.
Yep.
Right.
Yes. Like being gay is the ultimate punchline in like so many sitcoms and things of that era. Like movies of that era. It's like, that's not, I don't know. It's not fun. It is definitely of its time.
Yeah.
It is of its time.
Yeah, no, I watched Spaceballs with my roommates like last semester for Halloween or something. And a lot of the jokes were like, only a Jewish director could really say this right now. Yeah. Except there were a lot of like black jokes, like when they're combing the desert. When they're combing the desert, some of the guys are using a comb. And then like it goes to the guys with the Afro pick, and the guy says something like, "Shit, man, we're gonna be out here all day," or something like that.
We found shit.
Yeah, and it's like
it's burned in my mind from what.
Yeah, no, that's exactly. No, but the best thing actually about that movie, like there are good things about that movie, and there are not so currently good things about that movie.
I think I saw it once, and I barely remember it.
One of the best jokes in that movie is when, and my roommates and I wrote this on our fucking fridge because we have dry erase markers and stuff. We fucking what's his name? The main character who's supposed to be like Darth Vader, but he's like what's his name?
Dark Helmet.
Dark Helmet, yeah. He's the guy who plays
right?
Rick Moranis. He's the guy who plays Seymour in Little Shop of Horrors. Today's just a Little Shop of Horrors theme, I guess.
It is.
But,
it is.
So there's this moment when they're like, we need to go really fast or something. And he goes
ludicrous speed.
Yeah, ludicrous speed. I don't remember. It was something around then, but he looks at the thing and he's like, out of order? Fuck. The only fuck in the entire movie, but it really caught us by surprise, and we had to like pause it and let ourselves laugh because it just was too out of order. Fuck.
See, my favorite joke in the whole movie is when they go to meet Mel Brooks, who plays Yoda, or someone like
Yogurt.
Yeah, that's right, Yogurt. And he's like, and Lone Star's like, well, wait, why are we doing this? Yeah, that's it. It's merchandising. So anytime
preparing for the Spaceballs movie.
Yeah.
So anytime we're talking about like Star Wars or something, and Jess is like, I don't know why they did that. It made no sense. And I just go, merchandising.
Yeah.
I got that ring from the
first movie. Merchandising.
I got that ring from a Cracker Jack box. Don't worry about it. The Force is within you. It's not the Schwartz. The Schwartz is within you.
Schwartz is more.
I love when their stupid little lightsabers get tangled up, and they're like, "Wait, so okay, if I put my leg on your, we'll pull apart." And the best, one of the best parts is that their stupid little spaceship turns into like a maid. To vacuum all of the oxygen off of Earth. But then when it explodes, the fucking arm and head land in Earth, and it's Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
I don't even know how he managed to get the rights to the costuming and the facial latex, but he did, and goddamn.
I love what's it called? YouTuber that I love, Lindsay Ellis, pointed out that like the thing, Mel Brooks' style is he's just rapid fire, joke after joke after joke after joke.
God.
Yeah, it's a
so
lot.
like the way that his comedies work is like if a joke falls flat, there's like two more right after it, so like it's fine, and it's good. No, yeah, but I do agree.
Getting a 4K. Speaking of physical media, 4K release in the upcoming months.
Very
new
cool.
scan of Spaceballs.
I watched a little bit of 4K Starship Troopers. That was a fun.
Oh, it looks good. I just watched Total Recall the other night in 4K. Like those restorations, that time period.
Wait, which Total Recall? The Tom Cruise one or
the one that's worth watching. The one that's worth watching.
Okay, neither of them are worth watching. First of
all,
because I mean, okay, let's.
Are you not an Arnold stan?
I will share a brief opinion and then move back to the topic at hand. First of all,
I think here's the thing.
Tom Cruise
version.
There
is no topic at hand. There is an umbrella that contains the strange eldritch.
The general topic at hand, then, okay? The things that
are Cruise in the Total Recall remake. I thought it was somebody else.
Yeah, he's the main character. Total Recall.
Oh wait, no, that's Minority Report.
Are you talking about Minority Report?
No, I'm talking about the Total Recall.
Okay.
Like, fucking...
We're learning that X has no idea who any of these actors are. No.
First of all, how dare you?
Colin Farrell.
Yeah, Colin Farrell's in.
It was Colin Farrell.
Minority Report.
Who the fuck is Colin Farrell?
He was. Look
attractive
up. Okay.
Irishman.
I do love An Attractive Irishman.
In Bruges was a really good movie. Yeah. No, if you haven't seen him, you don't have to watch the movie.
Oh shit! It's that.
Yeah, it's that guy.
He does not look like Tom Cruise.
He
out of all of the white actors, he's the closest.
Okay, but he looks way more like Matt LeBlanc than he does like Tom Cruise. Like he looks like Irish Matt LeBlanc. He does not look like anything like Tom Cruise.
He just looks like Colin Farrell to me.
Yeah,
I think what happened was Minority Report and Total Recall looked so similar because they seemed so fucking similar in their plot, in the character design, in the environmental design, because our brother Carrie watches movies like nonstop. He'll just have one on.
Oh, he does.
And then he'll switch around from various channels, so I'm sure that I just mixed up Tom Cruise and that actor from Minority Report.
That's definitely, the thing is our brother will watch, so we have this huge, beautiful, like heavy wooden like center console where all of our movies, even our VHSs, are contained. Actually, no, not all of our movies, because the laser discs are in the.
Yeah, I stole half those movies.
Yeah, we have the original Star Wars trilogy on Laserdisc. That's how old I am.
That's like the one that they used, I know, to restore some of the despecialized editions, because I think that was like the highest quality release that wasn't touched by Lucas.
It is. I still remember, because I remember like watching all the movies a few years ago, just because it had been a while. And I still remembered all of the places in the originals, I think specifically in Return of the Jedi, where you stop and flip the disc. I know all of. I can still remember the movies that I watched a lot because those are the ones I know. Oh, this is where you flip the disc. I remember where it is in Jason and the Argonauts. It's right after Hercules breaks out of Talus's tomb. But I was gonna say something, wasn't I?
Yeah, I have to say something. I was gonna say my personal opinion on Total Recall, both versions.
Okay, go ahead.
And then we were going to go back into the general umbrella topic at hand.
Yes.
My opinion on Total Recall is that Jesus fucking Christ, the anxiety. I can't watch it.
That's fair.
Because in the Arnold Schwarzenegger version, they don't even put it in his system before the guards break down the door. And then you spend the rest of the movie wondering, I don't really know. Maybe the drug is taking effect and he thinks that this is what's happening and he is actually leading a boring life. Or, they didn't put the needle on him. They didn't put a patch on him or whatever. So maybe, he is wanted by the police and he never knew this or whatever. But in the new and updated version, they put it in his system, and seconds after they put it in his system, that's when the cops break down the door. And so you have no fucking clue. You really don't fucking know in that version whether or not he actually...
That's the beauty of it. Ambiguity is the spice
I know,
of life.
But ambiguity is good until you're just anxious all the time, and that's me. And also, not just that, but like the original version... Obviously, we gotta love the woman with 3 tits. We've got to love the woman with 3 tits.
Yeah,
she gets just killed in a pretty
freaky as hell. But also, I have to say, and I cannot stand it. It's not fucking realistic, and I know that it's not realistic. It's a sci-fi movie with special effects. But at the end of the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, like the sun is roasting them alive or something, and their eyes are popping out.
Oh no, yeah, it's the atmosphere of Mars, and he's like, his eyes are blowing up. Yeah, I love it.
All of that is exploding, but then that he goes back inside, or the atmosphere regulates, and then he's fine. That's not possible.
Hey,
he would have been dead. His eyes don't go back into
Last time I went into a vacuum and my eyes came back, I look okay. So I mean, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, hey.
I'm pissed.
Let's be clear.
To say, I am
not
pissed.
a person, no one in the history of anything, with possible exception of you, has ever gone into like a run and gun Arnold Schwarzenegger 80s action movie going
and thought this isn't
expecting
realistic.
science.
Doesn't check out.
Yeah.
No.
They've been like, oh,
but
this is
also,
awesome.
I mainly don't like run and gun movies. I don't like, oh, you're
That's
being
fair.
chased by the cops and you have to do whatever you can to avoid them. Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of boring. Even
Yeah,
if, you have a love interest and you're trying to like figure out why this is going on, it's kind of boring.
Yeah,
I think it
I
traps
can
into
see
a
that.
lot though of like, have you read Philip K. Dick's any of his like works?
I've only
'Cause
really read The Man in the High Castle.
Okay, yeah, like because he did Blade Runner is based on his stuff, Total Recall is based on his stuff, Paycheck. Like I feel
Minority
like he has so
Report
much
is
like
also
that.
based on his stuff.
Yeah, Minority is also like that. That amount of paranoia is like central to
That poor guy.
like, him. Oh yeah,
he
he was like a true like ass to ass
really
paranoid, like true.
Yeah, he was he really suffered from poor mental health.
I think he really could have benefited from an occasional Prozac or a Xanax.
I think he probably could have benefited from a lot of things, but
he could have benefited from weed
his,
like a
unfiltered
motherfucker.
like vision of
you're right.
like, future paranoia is
You're
its
right.
own kind of thing. And I feel like Paul
absolutely
Verhoeven
right.
specifically, like he taps into so much of that, like Starship Troopers, like as I was saying, like
Yeah.
it's so satirical. And so Total Recall has that kind of thing too, where it's like, it's like, oh, your life sucks. Like, can't you just go into a computer and remember that? Or like, I feel like that has such a, I don't know, fun twist onto like the standard action movie.
I haven't read the Total Recall story. I really should because I heard it's really
I think it's called We'll Remember It For You Wholesale or something. It's
Yes.
like a long
that one.
title. It's like a really clunky title.
What a wonderful title. I love that.
It's a crazy title.
That sounds like a title like of a Ray Bradbury short story.
It does. It actually does.
Well, so what happens is they're chasing him and they're telling him all these lies and they tell him sequential lies. And it turns out everything that they're just making up ends up being true, no matter how absurd it is. And so he winds up being the most important man in the universe because of this deal he made with this alien race so that they wouldn't blow up the planet or something. And like, it's just weird, surrealist bullshit. And I'm like, that's up my alley.
But I do want to say something off of what Will was saying earlier. I thought of it and I was like, I gotta remember that, and it's been like 20 minutes.
Welcome to the show.
But you're absolutely right in terms of like when you're watching something on Netflix or you're listening to something on Spotify and you cultivate a personal connection with that thing or like a deep interest for that, like and you find yourself wanting to find a physical media representation of it. Like there's this band that I like called I the Mighty, and I've been looking for vinyls of their stuff for a really long time, and I can't really find any, and that's fine. I think they just don't make them. But like possible. I found them through Spotify. Like one of my friends showed me their music in high school, and I found them through Spotify, and I had listened to a lot of their music, and they're really good. And I would love a vinyl version because obviously vinyl sounds delicious. And I do want to have the physical copy. Like it's big, kind of represents how big of an impact it's had on my brain, And the same thing goes for movies on Netflix. Like if there's a movie on Netflix that I really find myself enjoying, like Set It Up for me, which is like a really dumb movie, but it's kind of one of those wholesome movies that I can put it on and just makes me feel good. It stars Lucy Liu. I love her so much.
She is great.
It's like and Pete Davidson's actually in it and he plays a gay guy. Like it's like a crappy movie, but it's a feel good movie and it's funny as hell. And so, I just watch it nonstop. And if I had a DVD version of that, I'm sure that I would watch it nonstop and I wouldn't have to go on Netflix in order to watch it in case Netflix ever takes it off one day. And like, that's also the fear is like, oh God, Netflix got rid of The Office. What the fuck do I do now? Because
they got rid of The Office so that because NBC
I know.
wanted to launch a app that
I know. No, but
you
like
have to pay for it based on how much of The Office you like, which is really funny.
Which is really funny, yeah.
The thing that you said was you said some people watch it like 5 times a year. I would watch it 5 times a month. I would have it constantly playing. I couldn't sleep unless I had it playing. Now I have to listen to the fucking recorded version of Maurice Sendak reading Where the Wild Things Are and In the Night Kitchen and Carole King singing Alligators All Around, One Was Johnny and Pierre. I have to listen to that before I go to sleep.
I wasn't expecting this much of a nostalgia bomb this episode. Holy shit.
I have to listen to that 30-minute recorded episode before I go to sleep. Because otherwise I can't go to sleep because I was hooked on the bedtime story of The Office, and yeah. So
it really is just a beautiful show. Oh man, the thing too that I like
all the way through.
Office.
It's definitely worth going back. I find that
and I know that
I did it. It was during quarantine that I watched it.
Yeah, so many people hate The Office, and I understand. You know, it's like a regular show. It's not like incredibly interesting. There's like not like the jokes aren't that funny. It's and I don't even hold it against anybody if they're like, I can't believe you watch the show. It's like I'm not gonna shit on you for not liking it.
First I've heard of people not liking the show. Honestly.
Yeah, I was about to say I think it's pretty universally liked.
Yeah. No,
I really like it. I think my problem with The Office is that like it's become shorthand for personality for some people. In the same way that like people wear shirts where it's like, oh, like bacon, like I love bacon. It's like, okay, I mean that's cool, but like, there's always a difference between to me to like. It's like where you put the modifier. It's like you could be a guy that watches The Office, or you could be the Office guy. And I would always rather be the guy that watches The Office than the Office guy. And the same thing with like you could be like, I've known guys that have like these huge long beards, and it's like or like tattoos. Guys. And it's like you can be the guy with the beard, you can be the guy with tattoos. I have tattoos, but like I never want to be like the guy with the beard and Will. There's the beard. He's the beard guy. He's the tattoo guy. Because it's like when it takes over so much of your personality, it just becomes about that thing. And I feel like Office, like The Office, is that for some people. Where
have you guys ever seen?
If that's your whole personality, you're kind of boring, and that's
there's this great YouTube video you guys should check out called "I Like The Office." It's just a roast of like younger 20-something guys on Tinder. It is. I never been on Tinder.
No, but when you're on Tinder and people are like, oh, like feed me pizza and take me on adventures. It's like, I mean, what does that mean? Like, it doesn't really like mean that much. It's sort of this emptiness to like that kind of. It's like there's like a short, and I get it. Like, I mean, if in Tinder you're trying to connect to somebody quickly, so like saying The Office or like I love bacon or whatever, it's kind of a shorthand to kind of like connect with certain people that want to see that buzzword and want to like get to it. So I understand it. Like maybe I'm too snobby about it, but at the same time, like I always try to make like those things like a part of my personality and not
define your personality. It's like like the octopus where like every tentacle is a different thing, but you don't want the head to be something that's too big. Like if the head is something that's good,
the octopus.
You want a billion tentacles, right? You don't want like just one fucking tentacle, and then you just
be the beard octopus.
Bearded octopus. Can you fucking imagine?
How would that work?
Fucked up. I don't.
Would it be like armpit hair? Would it be like?
Actually, I don't think we should talk about it because I'm sure octopi can hear us and they'll make it happen. I'm a little scared to see that.
So this, I want like, so what you said about like not making a thing part of your identity, like, so what actually taught me that in a really big way, and in a way, I'm actually thankful that I was so disappointed. So no.
Ooh, this is gonna be good.
This is probably not gonna be a surprise, but it was the ending of Game of Thrones.
Oh, you poor child. You poor sweet, simple child.
Yes.
I love that because I never watched the series. The whole time I was like, I don't know, this thing's kind of soap opera-y. I don't like it. And then watching the entire fucking world just blow up around season 8, I was like, the back, I was like, like
Des called me. He called me and was like, this is so upsetting and I need to talk to you about this. And I know you don't watch it, but I need to talk to you about this. And I was like, you go ahead and watch. I was like, I've only seen the first season because I really couldn't get into it. It just didn't seem that interesting.
Yeah.
And it was pretty
But see, here's the thing, right? So I saw the thing that got me to stop watching it was episode 3 of season 8, right? Episode 3 of season 8 is the episode where Arya kills all the White Walkers at once. She Phantom Menaces them. They all die at once, right? And I remember thinking, that sucks. Like, what the hell was I even doing this whole time?
That sucks.
No, but see, here's the thing. Story-wise, it makes sense because Arya's story has been all about death. Every single one of her mentors has had a different perspective on death. Her first guy says, what do we say to the god of death? Not today.
Not today.
Then she's with the Hound. The Hound is a death dealer, but he's kind of an indifferent death dealer. Then he got the assassin guy who, well, we won't talk about him, wasted character. But like it just happens, and I'm like, that was it? What this? But that, so the bad guy for the what's going on? And so, but here's the thing. That was the same day that I watched Avengers Endgame in theaters, which is forever going to be the best entertainment decision I ever made. So much fun to watch that in theaters. We were all just screaming and shouting at the end of it, just having a great time. And I remember realizing, oh, okay, so here's the thing. It doesn't matter how personally invested I feel like I need to be in a movie, in a show, in an album. What matters is, does this thing make me feel good?
Yeah.
Right. And that's all that matters, you know. Like I say I'm not like a huge MCU guy, and I'm not. I've seen most of them, but I haven't seen all of them. But like, you know, I was really into Game of Thrones for a long time, and it really burned me. And so now I'm like, you know what? Maybe if it's good, stick with it, and if it's bad,
don't
hop out, see how it is. You know,
don't have allegiance to something that's not, you know.
Yeah. You don't owe the show anything. You don't owe the show. You don't owe the show your time.
It's tough, you know. For me, with shows, it's easy for me to drop, but with video games, I feel so bad. Like when I get halfway through,
I get it.
I gotta finish this. Like I can't just like. It's very hard for me to just stop.
You did pay for it, which is typically different from like TV shows and stuff that you like. It's just an option to watch.
That's a thing. Also, there's one thing that I think that physical media can do, which is I think not. I want to say insidious, but not maybe even like actively malevolent, which is something that you and I both know a lot about, Will, which is FOMO.
Can be I was actually going to. FOMO. This is a great segue because I was going to bring this up into the future of physical media. I was going to bring FOMO into that because the future. I'm sorry if I'm. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Can I go for it?
We probably should move on to the future of physical media.
Yeah, to the future. What I see when I see physical media in the future is it's getting more expensive, more hyper-specific, and it's more about FOMO than anything else, which is fear of missing out, you know, if you don't know. Because, like, in the time that I got into omnibus collecting, right, when I started that, boy, howdy, it was beautiful. You just show up on a Tuesday, whatever's there you want, you can find stuff. It doesn't go out of print very fast. It's great. Like I had whole shelves.
But then the hype train started.
Yeah, and then it starts and people get into it, and it becomes this thing. And like now, like I see a group every Tuesday, everybody's like, when is that? When is in stock trades going up? Like, oh, it's sold out. Like, where can we get it from? And it's crazy. And I am so happy. It's like a weight. Every time I see that, it's like a weight off my chest. However, I've transferred that into movies where like now I'm into like boutique, you know, like Blu-ray collecting, and it's like Arrow Video, and there's like Criterion and all this stuff. And like, they definitely understand, I think, that like I believe that the future of physical media is not going to be every movie getting a Blu-ray release for like $10 to $15. I believe the future of physical media is select things that people really want getting Blu-ray releases for like $20 to $40. And I think that's the same thing with records, where it's like, it's not going to be like every band pressing records. And
it's Billie Eilish.
It's like specific things that people want, and they're going to be double albums for $35, and they're going to be on splatter colored vinyl, and it's going to be a collector's piece. And
Barnes and Noble.
And part of me is happy about that. Part of me likes that because it's like I like that there is a collection aspect to it. Like, it's cool that like if you care about this thing, the option is there to you. But another part of me like is already feeling like, even in the, I don't know, let's say decade that I've been a physical media collector, like I already feel that slow march towards like, oh fuck, if I don't get this on day one, it's going to sell out, and then I'm gonna have to like settle for a lesser version, and then it's not going to be as cool for whatever reason. In my mind, I built up that I want to collect it or limited edition, even though I don't display the posters anywhere. Like, who gives a fuck? But in my mind, it's like this feeling of like, I like this thing enough that I want to be part of this, like that the collection aspect, the physical aspect, they've lured me into this feeling of like, oh, it's this label that you like. It's this, you know, movie studio that you like. It's this director that you like. So you'll put out more and more, you know, money and more time and more resources into getting these specific things. And I like, to me, that feels like what, unfortunately, and fortunately, maybe depending on your viewpoint of it, I think that's what like the future of this stuff is that it becomes more expensive, more specific, more limited, and that it prices out a lot of people who would just want to get into it casually. And that's, I don't know, that's kind of a bummer to me.
You know, something I have to add, which I know is strange for me to say in our generation as opposed to your guys' generation, because we are definitely of the same generation. So other people, we're of the same generation, but you and I know that we are not of the same generation.
Of course. Yes.
We know.
Yeah.
My hair is pink. It's like the biggest.
And my hair is like less than a millimeter long.
I have the visco lights. Like, you know what I mean? Like I have the rainbow lights. Oh wait, hold on.
Sure. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go. We have more movement on the show. Oh,
wow.
Okay. Oh, ooh. Those are actually really pretty. Yeah.
Changing lights. Yeah. And so everybody my age has like color changing lights and a Black Lives Matter flag or something like that. And like, vote, you stupid motherfucker. Like literally everything that you could. Like,
whereas I have magic cards.
Chocolate Lucky Charms.
Oh yeah, magic cards.
I'm like,
whereas I have D&D and magic cards.
What I'm trying to say basically is that the people in my generation are looking for cheaper and cheaper things, secondhand owned, as much as possible. We go to the thrift store because it's really hard to keep a job. Because we all have tattoos, piercings, and dyed hair, and our parents don't
avocado toast all the time.
Our parents don't love us.
Yes, our parents hate us so much.
And
it's terrible people. I'm kidding.
I mean, our parents love us, but in our generation, I know more people with fucked up. I know more people with fucked up parents than I do with good parents. And
how the hell did we score that well?
I don't know, but we were fucking lucky.
Oh, dude, tell me about it.
Anyways, so like I feel like in addition to what you were saying, Will, like there's going to be a lot of expensive and limited editions of things, most definitely. And there already is, like as I said, in Barnes & Noble, like you go to Barnes & Noble and there's like a Billie Eilish vinyl and it's $25, and then there's the Khalid vinyl and it's $25, and there's like a movie soundtrack for like Into the Spider-Verse and it's artistically painted and it's like $40 and stuff like that. But what about all the bands that nobody, can see there? Like I the Mighty. People go and they legitimately try to find that stuff, and those searches add up. And the people who are in charge of distributing their own stuff, they see how much everybody wants specific things, and then they figure out whether or not it's economically viable to actually make something like that. Like, say if enough people said, "Hey, I the Mighty, can I get a fucking vinyl?" And maybe I haven't checked in a while, and they do. I'm just talking out my ass. But like, if enough people talked to the New Respects or something, and we're like, "Hey, drop 1 million vinyls because we all fucking want vinyls," the New Respects might consider it and do it one day. And they might do their own limited editions, signed editions, sort of things. And like there would be very few people, but it would be really popular.
The production process has definitely been like more democratized with Kickstarter and Indiegogo and stuff. So like it is possible. You're right. Bandcamp and stuff like that.
There would definitely my favorite. Bandcamp. There would definitely be a lot more. I feel like a lot of people are seeing that like if you sell a lot of things for a cheaper amount of money than a few things for a lot of money, you'll end up making more money because you have more opportunities to sell things, but you build more intrigue and you build up your brand if you do.
Yeah, I think that is very true.
It's very interesting. There's a lot of thinking going into that.
It depends on the size of the artist, because like for those sort of things, I think you're totally right. But like for the Beatles, for example, like
oh my god,
love the Beatles, who doesn't or whatever. But and like right now, I just spent I'm looking for the Beatles in mono box set that they did in 11. And I just always thought it was going to be around.
Are you looking for the
$1,500?
Like the CD or vinyl?
No, the vinyl. So like a box set of their mono albums is $1,500. It's out of print. It's on the used market. It's this huge thing, and it's that kind of thing where it's like there are a lot of smaller bands that can be on Bandcamp and can distribute small stuff like that. I think that's awesome. But the big stuff, like let's say the next Quentin Tarantino 4K box set or whatever, like that shit is never going to be not expensive. The next Beatles box set, the next David Bowie box set or whatever. So it's this sort of weird divide where it's like the people who are in touch with their fans enough to be like, we'll do a Kickstarter, we'll be on Bandcamp, we'll sign these albums. Like that stuff is cool and that's accessible. And I like that will stay around. But like the things that are going to be, I don't even know what you would call it, like AAA tier, directors and musicians.
So I think what we're dealing with here is
so expensive.
Some people are people, and some people are institutions, right?
Yeah.
Yes, so it's
that's very accurate.
Yeah.
God, I wish I could. I'm writing that down. That was tasty.
Thank you. So yeah, but no, because the thing is like there are some people who they charge that much because they can afford to charge that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like their company charges that much because they or the person above them can charge that much, right? You know, like Marvel books are more expensive than DC books on average. Why? Because they can afford to charge that much. You know what I mean?
Sorry, go ahead.
There is a bit of a premium attached to the characters in the books, but they're not inherently better written. In fact, a lot of the time you can find like a cheaper, like independent creator-owned book from like Image or Dark Horse, which is like a third the price. I think like a Hellboy Library edition is like full price is like $50, but like a DC Absolute is $127.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
But and I think like I recently discovered like I love vinyl, but I really like used vinyl more because you can get really good albums for like nothing. So like this is one of my absolute favorite albums. I found it once for like $8. It's The Flat Earth by Thomas Dolby. He's the Blind to Me with Science guy. It's so good. Actually, you need to listen to the title track, The Flat Earth. I love it. It makes my wife cry every time she hears it. It's one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard.
Oh, poor Jen.
Is that so because she's like a hardcore flat earther person, and this is like, finally somebody knows, somebody understands.
So, I mean, no, neither of us, no one in this house believes that they're being flat. No, that's no,
that's crazy
nothing.
talk. No.
I accept the globe. I did no.
No, but like it was $8. Right?
Yeah.
You know? Whereas, you know, that Lore album that I showed you guys, that other album I showed you, that I got that for something. I don't know when I got that, but I got it as a gift, and it's like $25 online, you know?
Yeah.
And Elder's not even that big a band. I bet neither of you had even heard of Elder. Like, you know. And you used to, and I used to live with you, so you knew how much I loved Elder, right?
I like literally
where were you living with me?
I never heard of them. Literally through the walls, never heard of them.
Yeah. Well, it was in my headphones, so you could.
Oh,
no.
yeah.
Yeah, but I think the thing is like, and when I look for more like Blu-rays or DVDs to add to my, well, not DVDs, but like Blu-rays or 4Ks to add to my collection, I do see like a difference because like there are a ton of, you can get like The Witch on Blu-ray for like $5, and it's not like a really cinematic movie. So what the hell are you actually missing, right? But part of me is like, but I could also get the 4K for $15. You know what I mean? And then there's The Lighthouse, which I love. It's actually one of the episodes of this podcast is us talking about Midsummer in the Lighthouse.
Oh God, what a weird episode.
That was a weird episode. But like, you know, you can get it for like, you can get just the movie, right? And I think that the thing that we're going to see with physical media is how badly do you just want the thing, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Do you want the thing in 4K or do you just want it in whatever capacity you can get it? Are you scrimping and saving?
This opens up a new can of worms, which is that a lot of 4K discs are actually 2K discs that have been up-res to 4K. So like The Witch, for example, is not a native 4K disc. So like the difference between it on Blu-ray and it on 4K is not that huge. Same thing with like vinyl, where it's like to get a record that's been completely mastered in analog that never went through a digital recording process is very tough and very expensive. Whereas like most records, like if you buy Billie Eilish's record or whatever, it was produced on digital. So like it might sound nice on vinyl, but like ultimately you're transferring digital files into a physical format. And same thing with like some of the Blu-ray stuff. It's like it might look nicer on 4K, but ultimately you're like upscaling traditional stuff. So in that sense, it almost feels like it's tricking me into being like, hey, we know that you like this kind of thing. Like, wouldn't you spend a little bit more money on the 4K? Wouldn't you spend a little bit more money on the vinyl? Like, I would, even though I know it's the same kind of thing, you know?
And I think too, you know, this kind of comes back to like, you know, this is an idea that I've had for a bit, which is that, you know, I think that like the last thing that you want to do when it comes to art is make it about efficiency, because art isn't about like efficiency. It's not about like efficiency of consumption, you know, like you could, I in 2019, I made my resolution to listen to one new album a day, and I gave up in 2 weeks because I'm like, one, most of these albums aren't that good, but also that's a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Because I can't properly process and digest the album.
You should listen to one new album a month. Like, tell me you listen to Kendrick Lamar's Damn in one day and you want to move on to another album the next day. No, not physically possible.
There was
you
one
have
album
to
that I
spend
listened
like a year with that son of a bitch.
There was this one album called House of the Dead by Ordos, which I love. It's such a good album. It was one of like maybe the 10th album I listened to, and that's the album that stopped me, because I'm like, no, I want to stay on this. This is really good. But the thing is too is like, so I think it comes down to like, the reason why I don't think physical media is going to go away, or like why digital media will maintain a huge market share, but it won't become like unanimous, right? Is that people don't watch movies to watch like that's not really a huge concern, right? It's mostly because they want to interact with the movie, right? Like I'll watch a thing on Netflix, right? But like, I mean, my Netflix, like on the Blu-ray player, plays stuff in 4K. So like, really, it's not that big of a difference. Yeah. Like if the show is recorded in 4K, it'll play in 4K,
I honestly feel like it's a matter of almost like respect.
Yes.
For the creator, for the thing itself, having it in a physical version versus a digital version. It feels like the digital version is like not respectful enough. Or like, I don't want to read Dune on the Kindle. I want to read it paperback because I want to feel it. And I did. I fucking read it. Oh my God.
There's this beautiful edition of Dune that I really want, where like
the pages, Society one's really nice.
I'll have to check that one out, but the one that I'm looking at is it's got like the like Fremen blue, like this really vibrant, like kind of tealy thing going on the pages, and it's like kind of goldish, kind of sepia tone. But like then if you take off the cover, there's a picture of Paul walking towards you, and his eyes are just blazing this bright teal blue. Ugh. So good. Okay.
I fucking hope they actually get that right in the movie. I know I said it before, but I have to say it again. If they don't get the fucking eyeballs right in the movie, I'm leaving the theater.
I trust Dennis. I trust him. We'll see what happens.
Okay. Didn't even you?
Hold that thought. 1 second. Okay. This will be the last time. I promise.
We lost my cool Jurassic Park joke.
No. Oh no. Oh well. Anyway, so yeah, closing thoughts on physical media versus digital media, you guys. Give me some spicy takes to give the people something to think about.
I do have to say that as a current student, a lot of people I know really prefer physical copies of the books and the readings that they have to do over digital versions, because it's much easier to learn something when it's not digital than when it is hard copy. And it's nice to write in the books. It's nice to highlight the pages straight up. Although there is the definitive benefit of Kindle books being like at least $5 cheaper. And so it's something like the digital versions of most things are much cheaper. And it's very interesting.
If you're not
as heavy. It's very interesting to think about, like, weighing one's options and deciding, am I gonna let myself spend an extra $40 so that I can have everything hard copy, or am I gonna save that $40 and just literally just think about the difference of the cash? And in addition to that, it's like, if I save that money, then I can buy myself a DVD. And, with the money that I would have spent on a textbook, or I could buy myself a vinyl. I could straight up buy myself a full vinyl, maybe 2, with that money that I saved.
2, dude, that's crazy talk.
And it's very interesting to think about that. The people in my generation, the people in my generation we are thinking about ways to save money, ways to enjoy ourselves without spending, the utmost price possible. There's a lot of people in our generation, our generation, though, that are very into things like, buying some Gucci shades, or like Louis Vuitton shoes, or a Louis Vuitton bag, or a specific bag of a specific, I don't really know the brands all that well. But like, I know a lot of people my age that
there's not Louis Vuitton. That's all I need to know.
Yeah. There's a lot of people my age that seriously do not give a shit about the brand name and care very much about what the thing is, what it feels like, like maybe they care about the brand in terms of like, is this legitimate Hello Kitty merch? Because if it's not, I don't want it.
No,
is this Garfield merch, or is it not? Because if it is not, then I do not want it.
Hello Kitty Squire Stratocaster? Because if not, I am leaving the store.
Exactly that. I'm not even kidding.
My friend had one of those.
I'm not even kidding. Like, I have a friend who has a Garfield t-shirt, and like, fuck yeah. But like if this is not the brand,
Garfield
then I don't
is
want
the
it.
mascot of our generation. By which I mean like Will's like the kindred sharedness of yours and our generations.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
I'm more of a Calvin and Hobbes guy.
Yeah, Calvin and Hobbes is good though.
Those stickers where Calvin's just like pissing on things and flipping people off on the back of like redneck trucks. Oh, boy,
God.
that really gets me going. I love those.
Oh yeah, I'm like,
I love how
that's
rednecks
such a funny
like
subset of like fandom.
Yeah, I love how conservatives are like, I'm taking over. This kid is like my mantra. He pisses on CNN. And it's like, do you know how fucking anti-you he actually was? Did you even read his comics and how much he hates conservatives? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, this brings up another thing too, which is I think that media literacy is going to play a large role in how physical media stays around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think that like, these brands are targeting these more those more expensive editions of media are targeted towards like wealthier, and by that I don't even mean like people who bring in like 100K just on like savings, right?
Yeah.
I mean people like me who like people like me and Will who like live on our own. Well, but okay, not me. I live on my own. But like people who are
I have a cat.
You have a cat.
You mean live away from your parents?
I'm not lonely. I have a cat.
Yes, we're independent. Damn it. I think that like we need to consider something too, which is there are places in the world where the internet has not really made like as much of a foothold, and in those places, I know specifically like in Alaska, there was a really good 99% Invisible, 99% Invisible, great podcast. Check it out. Where they were talking about how video rental stores are huge in like the American North because it's actually really difficult to run the lines that establish internet and broadband internet connection up there.
Yeah.
So just go to friggin' Blockbuster or something and borrow
the last Blockbuster.
Last Blockbuster.
There's a local independent video rental store that's about 3/4 of a mile from me, and discovering it has been one of the happiest moments of 2020.
No.
Just like like literally I can just walk every day, rent a movie, and watch that movie, and then walk back the next day and exchange it, and you pay $15 a month for unlimited exchanges. It's like the same price as Netflix, and they have 18,000 movies of like all art house weird shit. And like, and I also do think
good.
That I'm sorry to derail your thing, but I also think that
that's fine.
It's very, very difficult to build community around digital content.
Oh,
I agree.
Like, I know like YouTubers have done it because there's like a person like Twitch streamers. There is a person and a physical thing, and they can be on multiple, like they can be on Instagram, they can be on TikTok, they can be whatever.
Yes.
But like when you talk about like Game of Thrones or like The Last Dance, right? Everybody came together to watch that during quarantine, or like Tiger King. There are specific things that like will kind of build like internet community. But in terms of long-term sustain from that, very hard. Whereas like I walk down to the video store and like I can spend an hour or two just like talking with people who I probably will get along with by virtue of them also wanting to be in this place and celebrate this thing.
Yeah, you get that tasty human contact that you don't get
and I think that
Netflix
is hard,
alone.
Yeah.
Like,
it's hard to like
sad.
solidify that in a digital like world,
Yeah.
You can always talk to people within the movie store and be like, I've been looking at this. Have you seen this? What do you think of it? As opposed to on Netflix, like maybe you Google something like, what are the reviews of this? And then you see the Rotten Tomatoes views. And it's like, that's so systemic. That's not personal. And I don't know whose opinion to trust on the internet. And I don't think any of my friends have seen this.
And we have to sort of put this to the broader context of like the loneliness epidemic that people were facing before the pandemic and has now been exacerbated. I think in a post-pandemic world, despite the fact that we are going to probably be cautious in social settings for a while after this, I think that we're also going to appreciate them more. And so I wonder if a lot of people, like, I wonder if we will see more physical media pop up. I wonder if we will see people finding more excuses to go to the store and like get like a DVD or something, or like go to like maybe there's going to be like a showing of a film you've seen a bunch of times, but they're showing it in like a local theater, and you go just because, hey, you might run into some people,
I feel like zines are really popping up again too. Like,
explain zines to me. I'm confused.
Okay, so it's a literary magazine. It's a homemade magazine, but it's usually like a book of poems mixed with art, mixed with prose, mixed with photography. And it's typically printed on just like colored paper, and maybe they like draw things within it, or it's printed on white paper and it's distributed. You can buy them, you can give them out. It depends on, because it's totally self-published. So
I feel like that's part and parcel with what we were talking about with like cassette, like the cassette underground stuff too, where it's like it's lowering the like the ceiling, the floor of how expensive it is to just put something out there.
Exactly.
And then like, you know, the people that buy a zine or that buy a cassette are the people that actually give a shit about it. Like, it's not like you're gonna like be selling, you know, zines outside of Barnes and Noble when people are just going in to, you know, buy whatever, like mass market paperback copies of stuff. But if you find the right place, if you find the record store, if you find the movie store or whatever, and you have that like distribution channel, like, I don't know, that to me is so much more. I know that I've met more people that I care about and care about their opinions of through those venues than like most other traditional, you know, like like work or school or, you know, whatever they would be.
Yeah, totally. If you go, because a lot of the people that I know that I'm friendly with, I either met them because like we work together or because, you know, we would go to like poetry nights together because I write poetry too.
Poetry nights, yes.
Yes. And you've been to one with me. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And how much did it cost? It was $3.99.
$3.99.
That's practically free, but it's not.
Yeah.
But it's not. But it's not. No, yeah, I agree. I think the thing is like there is that inherently community based. I mean, we literally like, you know, I found you on YouTube, but we met and became friendly because we were in a community that was centered around appreciation for these things.
That's so gay.
It is gay. It's gay in the straightest way possible.
It's not a punchline this time.
It's never a punchline in this podcast.
Never a punchline, friends.
Oh.
Gay is good, man.
And if it's a punchline, it's a punchline because it's a good punchline. Like, oh my God, it's like what ContraPoint said, whereas like there are good trans jokes. Cis people just don't know them. Cis people don't know what's funny about being trans, and so they make trans jokes that are offensive. It's like that, you know, it's like there are good gay jokes, but straight people don't understand them.
It feels like I feel that way about autism jokes because my favorite autism joke, which I made up myself, I know I'm egotistical.
That's beautiful. Oh my God.
I have autism and ADHD, which means I'm always nervous and I never remember why.
Okay, I'm gonna tell that to my roommates because they're gonna laugh.
But I agree. So I think that long story short, digital media is more of a utilitarian experience, whereas physical media is more of an egalitarian experience, right?
Yeah.
It's more about entering a space, be it the physical space of of a single disc or a single book, or maybe even just like a painting, right? Because the thing about media is it is the plural of medium, right? And there are all these different mediums people can use to distribute their work or their ideas, or just like, you know, their person to people, right? And I think I really am interested to see, because I mean, like, who could have predicted 10 years ago that vinyl would come back? You know, I don't think anybody could have. I think we all just sort of expected, you know, there would be a couple limited releases, and then there would be a bunch of used record shops, and that'd be it, right? And because for the longest time we were moving towards more and more efficient ways of processing and consuming media, and then we finally got to the point where MP3s show up and it just vanishes. And I think people missed it. You know, I think people found out about it and it was really cool, and they wanted to go back and see, oh, what's this like? And I do kind of think we're going to see a bit of like an equalization. So we won't see just digital or just physical. We'll see them adopt more complementary roles. It'll almost be like singles versus LPs.
Yeah.
Right. So you probably don't know this, X, but singles and LPs are the remnants of a format war that was fought back in the 50s. RCA was like, guys, we're just going to have towers of discs they'll only play one song. That's going to be the future of music. And then Columbia was like, okay, but what if we just put everything on one disc? And the record labels were like, you guys are both right. And so that's why you have singles, you have LPs. Singles are more like, I just want one song. And LPs are like, whole record, one thing. And they both have a lot of charm.
They're called, what's it called? Albums. Because originally, like, it came as in, like, literally a fold-out book, like series of like, smaller records. That's why.
That's kind of actually really adorable.
That's like even older though. It's hard to find like actual.
A little Russian nesting doll.
Albums. Yeah.
Oh, dude, and don't even get started with friggin' wax cylinders. If those ever make a comeback, I just quit. I'm selling all my stuff. I'm gonna go live.
I actually, I did have that the other day where this guy, like, I was working at Trader Joe's and I was like, yeah, I'm into like collecting stuff. And he's like, yeah, I'm really into VHSs now. I was like, damn, dude, like that's like a next level beyond me. Like that's cool.
One of the things that I thought of in advance to say on this, in case I forgot anything, but I remembered it now. Thank God. Does anybody remember the orange VHS tapes from Nickelodeon?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God.
There's definitely something to be said about the personalization and the branding of various physical pieces of media like that. Like there were no other colored things. No other colored VHS
That's not
tapes.
entirely true. I remember. Okay, do either of you have any memory of the show Monster Rancher?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh God.
I used to watch that on Sunday mornings before church.
Oh God.
It was okay. It was
what a sentence.
Like if a 15-year-old, it's like if I as a 15-year-old had written Pokemon. It was just weird ass shit. But it was great. I remember that the VHSs. Yeah, it's so weird. Weird. The bad guy's name is Moo.
Yeah.
I
still remember the theme song. Monster Rancher, Monsters Rule.
Monster Rancher, Monsters Rule. I was transported.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's
like a Bobo Pokey rap.
Oh God, that was such a good. I remember my wife got into One Piece. She was watching it when she had to stay up really late because she was working overnights back in the summer, but they changed the dub on Netflix, so it isn't the 4Kids dub. And I was like, okay, I need you to see this. And I showed her the original theme song, and she was like, that is not real. And I'm like, that was real. I saw it on TV a whole bunch of times. But the VHSs for that were white, and they were really cool looking.
Okay, but white and black VHSs they're still, sorry, I keep hitting the mic. They're basically the same thing. Like, I don't want to say that they're the same thing. Like, white VHS tapes are definitely really cool, but it's only because, like, black for the coloring for the plastic was probably cheaper. But it's interesting that Nickelodeon went out of their way to make their VHS tapes orange in like a market where nobody was thinking of coloring their VHS tapes. Like, I'm sure that there's Shrek out there on VHS that's green. I hope to God there is.
One of the last things I'm doing on this episode, I'm just gonna look that up real quick.
Good.
Wait, can I give you some Monster Rancher hot facts? So the PlayStation 1 Monster Rancher game, I don't remember which specific one, but when you were playing that game, you could import monsters based on music CDs. So like you would open the PS1 and then you would put in a music CD, like whatever you had, and it would read some like file, whatever the index of the CD was, and then it would generate a monster into the game for you based on that CD. So like if you put in like, I don't know, fucking Smash Mouth CD, you would get a specific monster.
Oh my
which
fucking
was so,
God.
Like amazing. And I just love that idea. It's like all this like physical media like coalescing together of just like, I'm gonna attack you with my fucking with all my like
Smash
crazy,
Mouth,
like,
man.
with my Backstreet Boys and Smash Mouth like monsters.
I think that if you stick a Smash Mouth disc into that game, you just play as Steve Worrell. Like, that's what happens.
Cool. Wait, I just remembered something. There's also the combination of physical and digital, as like just jumping off of what you said, Will, like Webkins and Neopets. You can't play unless you buy the physical thing, because you have to buy it, and that's how you get the code, and then the code lets you play it digitally, but you still have the stuffed animal, so you can play like
Disney Infinity and Amiibo and all that shit.
Oh yeah. Oh dude, Amiibos. Crazy. I don't have any Amiibos, but they look great. But they also cost as much as an entire album or like 2 movies.
Like, Tamagotchi was the perfect combination of physical and digital.
Digimon guy.
Oh yeah, Digimon was cool.
It was the perfect combination of physical and digital, because each individual Tamagotchi was a different animal, but it was digital, but it was physical. Fuck.
Oh God. Well, on that mind blowness, I'd like to thank you guys for coming to this podcast. Will, thanks for coming on. Ton of fun.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the invite.
This was so nice.
Course, anytime. Yeah. Well, because I figured if we're talking about physical media, who do I know who has any sort of interest in physical media?
Who has blown too much money on it in the past?
Who hasn't? Let he who is without sin buy the first record. I don't know.
Exactly.
Okay. Anyway. We'll see you guys when we see you. Have a good one out there. If you live anywhere that's getting snow now, enjoy the weather. And if not, then suck it. Ha!
Thanks. You're so kind. You're so nice to me.
Take care. All the good people watching, both of you. Have a good day.